to you. But I think we've had a couple of conversations via phone. Yes, on many issues. Just yesterday we were talking about this CAF matter.
Okay, yes.
I don't know if you've had the opportunity of, first of all, how are you?
Great.
Yes, I know you've been doing the Ramadan fast.
Oh, well.
For 30 days. Today is the 30th day. Is it 29th or 30th day?
Yes.
Okay. So all I can pray for is that your sacrifice is accepted.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Then I don't know if you had the opportunity of listening to the CAF president. His justification. Does it in any way change your position?
I would conclude or comment by using a harsh word rather than my position was yesterday. I think it's quite a senseless regime of explanations for any CAF president or CAF as a body to want, expecting the world to believe that kind of disgraceful manner in which one would say that their judgment on that issue was administered. It makes no sense. My thinking was that before they went into the tournament, the books called the constitution of the CAF, the rules called the constitution of the CAF, and then the regulations, all were set. So in a matter of this, a tournament, all these active profiles that necessitates the organization of a tournament, they're all put in place. The technical team was on standby to interpret any affairs. In the same manner, granting that any referee became insane on the field, is a human being, got mad on the field, got stroke on the field, had a heart attack, which it has happened in other matches before. Is CAF telling us that they don't have a recipe to those concerns and what are the rules of the game and the rules of engagement? They know it. So if a team had walked out and the rules of the game is that, okay, when you walk out, you don't come back. After XYZ minute, you are declared either loser or winner. At what point does the same CAF supervises the team went out, technical division, technical committee sitting there, and they went in there to persuade them to return? At that time, on that point, Senegal was prepared to hell with the consequences. They were not interested in the tournament, regardless of how much. They were very much aware that walking out does not grant them the second position. So they were prepared to lose and lose the entirety. Dakar was prepared to lose it all if they had not come back. So it's not the players of the team they persuaded or convinced themselves to come back, but then the CAF themselves. They followed the team in there to the tunnel and asked them to come and brought them. And then to bring up a kind of a peace was what that abysmal penalty kick that was exhibited just to cool off the pace. Moroccans did.
You think giving the penalty kick?
The penalty that was given to the Moroccan and he refused to score.
He refused to score?
Yes, of course. He himself, he was interviewed. The Moroccans, he was interviewed. That as a footballer, sportsmanship, he wanted to settle off the impasse because he didn't also think that if they were punished, the Senegalese were punished in that drive, then he wouldn't also score. It would look a little bit where he received a kind of backlash, but then good number of Moroccans also supported his cause for exhibiting good and genuine sportsmanship. What happened to that penalty? Was that player charged? Because he admitted that he purposely, deliberately shot the kick into the hands of the keeper because there was no seriousness. So if all these things went on, when did Morocco do the turnaround to not petition CAF to be declared winner? Worst case scenario, if CAF was to be any intelligent and any organization to be taken serious, and if not the Afroism approach, the African matter, African mentality, the foolishness that we do in some of our decision making, they should have rearranged the match.
It should have been replayed.
If you are coming with this decision, you could call off the CAF and put them in a neutral ground. Let Morocco and Senegal settle it off again. Ideally, that would have been even on the minds of everybody that you are being fair on that score. But match played, winner declared, you, the CAF president, delivered the cup. What was your conscience and your mind at the time? What was going through your mind? Infantino was sitting there. So is he telling us that if his CAF is stupid, the FIFA is equally same, and they didn't know that a certain infringement on the game, as far as its regulations is concerned, had been shown or perpetuated by the Senegalese? All of them were fine. They all clapped. What about the stars and then the jubilations that was beaming all over? Was it just easy? You give a medal to a player, 26 players with coaches and extra, about 31. All of them have taken them. Those medals is not for the government of Senegal. They are individual medals for the players. And they've taken it along to their homes. Now you are calling for a cap. Do you call for the cap without calling for the medal? And most of the players too, when they receive a medal in such a major tournament, they give it as gift to their parents. They give it as gift to their children. They give the medal to their wives that I gifted you this for your support in my sporting career. So CAF is telling us that they are going to either create and craft and carve a new medal and give, because the winner's medal is not same as the first runner-up. So how do they also orientate with this? So look at excesses and losses. Do you understand?
Yes.
That comes with it. And then the emotional aspect, the pains, the agony, and then the kind of disrespect with impunity. I find it very outrageous that any organization, and for that matter, this actually any other country, they should dispel the CAF president himself, because he supervised such kind of foolishness. If the appeal, how many are they? They're just only about 5 or 7 people determine the destiny of the entire Africa, disgracing us in a public distance. Look at how other international football federations across the Oceania go and read their comments. Read the comments of the Europeans. Read the comments of the North Americans. It seems like we are headless.
But there's also the point he makes about the fact that we've made a lot of progress. There's a need to set an example, a standard.
A standard should not be set. I won't let you complete. There's a need to set a stupid standard. That is not the standard. If you needed to set a standard, set the standard on the field.
You think they missed the opportunity to do
You should have closed the match, and that would be a better standard to warn. Look.
So instead of following the Senegalese players and begging them to come on, they should have just allowed them to go end the match and then award the cup.
But you were trying to satisfy the conscience of your sponsors. Because if the tournament was abrupted and come to an abrupt end, certain percentage and fraction of the sponsorship package would not be paid. So they were being smart considering their selfish interest as far as CAF as an organization is concerned. Because if I'm the major sponsor, every stage has a category of payment that they were making. So the main due day and the biggest platform was the showcase of the finals.
Okay.
Therefore, if the finals did not end, you cannot end that amount.
Okay.
Because that is what they are expecting as sponsors. The whole world is watching.
Okay.
So the match did not end. So you wouldn't go back to them and tell, even though our hands are up, we've completed or we've declared a winner. That's not how they want.
Okay.
They want a showcase of the football, whereas their advert runs alongside, not an abrupt end. So if that was done in such a way, you have collected your money massively. Do you return the money that you took as CAF to the sponsors? Do you return to MTN and then all those companies that were involved? Are you going to give them the money? Bring back, they say Morocco, or move to another destination called Tunisia or any country. Go and stage. If even it's behind closed doors or if even it's a locked up stadium, let them play. The best winner should take the cup home. But everything said. Okay. CAF must be made also to pay for the price of their own actions and inactions. They must be paid the price of their own foolishness. Look, This thing has locally happened in Ghana here before.
We've had this before.
We've had in a similar. I was a member of Accra House of Folk management team.
Okay.
And at that time, we were playing House of Folk with St. George. Was that St. George? Yes. St. George of Ethiopia.
Okay.
It was champions, African champions, the Champions League. We had gone to Ethiopia. I was part with House of Folk management with our good squad at the time. When we went to Ethiopia, they dragged us. And I'm saying the drag means that the water, because you know the high altitude, we were jet lagged, high altitude, but we went in our hotel. All of us, you start panting because of the House of Folk. Any House of Folk member, near Ibunti, they were all there. House was just pants down. The players could not run even 10 meters. They can't run. Amankomriku, all of them was stacked on the ground. Dankwe was the only player playing with the whole 11 team, and they beat us 4. Okay. They won. So everybody knew that House of Folk was out of the tournament.
Yes.
But the return was going to be in Accra. That was the time we were building, where Ghana was to host the 2008 AFCON.
Okay.
So Accra Stadium was closed, and this match was in Obuasi. So House of Folk welcomed Ethiopia. All right. We protested that something wasn't right because their stadium, even the first staircase, we could not climb as management members.
Really?
No. Staircase, we could not. I've been in Ethiopia back to back several times, even before that match. I know the altitude, and at certain times, not notwithstanding, I wouldn't get Ethiopia and get weaker like somebody who is drunk. No. But that's what indeed happened. So when we're even to go to the second elevation, we got down to the first elevation. We decided to sit and watch the match. We're all tired. So we're not surprised that our players were in that mood. Now, when they came here, the match was at Obuasi. We hosted them alongside us in the Coconut Grove Hotel, Kwesi Ndum's Hotel.
Yeah.
When they had gone to the breakfast, we met them across, what's the name? Our officials met them at Kotoka International Airport as the normal protocols to bring them to Obuasi with security, with police. The match officials were from Benin.
Okay.
Kofiko Jaba. They had come already, gone to that side. And then we went to pick them and brought them to Obuasi. The hotel we took them, Coconut Grove, they had a different mind. Why did they do that? When we got to Obuasi and said that there is your hotel, and there is also our hotel, the same hotel, different side. Before we know, they have already arranged through their embassy and hired another hotel in Obuasi. They said, thank you, but we'll host ourselves in this hotel. By international practice, you cannot force them to sleep. They went. Even in that hotel, every drink that was given to them, water, they said no. Their embassy from Accra brought water. What one went into their thinking that you come to Obuasi, sealed water. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Belakwa sealed. And then they have to press. They didn't. Their embassy brought trunks
Of water.
ice chests with water, and they were serving them.
They refused to drink water.
They refused to drink our water. But we know what we went to. That makes House of Folk, not Kotoko. An authority. This is an old match. It's already over. The results doesn't count anymore. So there was an interesting scenario. They had a player who was from Ghana. They are number 6, Kofi Kumoji. And when we went there, he was the man of the match, punishing us. And their goalkeeper was from Uganda. So House of Folk also did what we know best. It's an old story, but interesting. I'm telling you, because I was part of the plot. And that was when iPhone has started coming up. Okay? This is not an open secret. This is not a secret. We are telling what House of Folk could do. So we also penetrated into their listen. The Ghanaian player was a little bit because he feels that if something happens, when he goes by, they'll slaughter him. But the Ugandan player needed money, needed phone, needed everything more than them. So we arranged that punch our players and let's have penalty kicks. I'm revealing this for the first time because I was part. So we did what we have to do. Are you getting me? We did what we have to do. So first 10 minutes, our players were punched. So penalty. If you are punching a player in the 18, it's not a penalty. Penalty. So within a matter of 15 minutes, House of Folk had 3 penalties. They walked off the park that they won't play. Say, okay, goodbye. Do you understand me?
I see.
Yes, okay, goodbye. We were on the field waiting. The rules of the game was applied. First goal scored, second one. Third one also, a player wrestled a player down. The same keeper wrestled a player down. So we had 2 penalty kicks. And we had already scored one. They watched it. They said, no. If even it's not up to first half, then it's how then they will not play. Okay, we stood on the park, folded our arms.
Okay.
You
Nobody
understand?
followed them. They left.
They were in the field waiting for them. At that time, Ghanaian journalists, including Nana Dakwah and co, they were all there. They wanted to come and I said, no. As Nana Dakwah, I seized every camera. Every camera that journalists were. I made a law at the stadium that any journalist that want to cover the match, pay XYZ amount. Then we set the House of Folk chapter O boys that when you see any cameraman filming, any journalist filming, we don't care about your commentary. We say you can comment, but pay money before you come and run commentary for you because you're also collecting money for your station. Why did they have the money? They came, Eric and Co, if they came, they didn't come with any budget. So indirectly, you have to stop. We seized as many as over 14 telephones. It was in House of Folk. I don't know whether we released it to them or they came for it. Anyway, that time it was just only these Agri phones. That was what they were using. We collected every phone because we planned for that match. That would not let them go just like that. On the field, after we had 3 goals, the people said they would not play the match. House of Folk sat on the field. Kojaba understands with Alhaji House with all of us. He said, okay, he's waiting 15 minutes time. He watched, he looked at his watch, and then pointed to the center, Mike close.
So you won there.
That is how House of Folk we beat. No we won, we beat. That is how House of Folk beat, how do we call it, St. George on the return match.
But clearly this had nothing to do with football. The football was really never played on both legs.
But we play, yes, I mean, what are you talking about? we beat them. And it was 15 minutes. And then on top of it, CAF surcharged and banned St. George for 3 years for walking off the field.
So on that day, the rules were applied.
The rules were applied, even with a small commercial park match, with a small match. How much more national team? And you said that you don't know the rules of the game. I'm referring to this. How many Ghanaians knows of this story? Ask House of Folk. It's a record there.
I see. Very interesting. So if you had in Ethiopia said that you were too weak to play the match,
yes, we said,
and walked off, they would have ruled in favor.
They would have ruled in favor of St. George and punish House of Folk for that matter. And all the officials, of course, the match official, match commissioner, was not from Ethiopia. The match commissioner, I think he was from Burundi. He speaks French.
Okay.
And I speak French. So after the match, I even approached him that, what do you think was happening? Then he said that peut-être c'est empathique.
What does that mean?
That maybe we were tired. I said, non, c'est pas comme ça. On a boit quelque chose. Peut-être. C'est à cause de ça. We've drunk something. That is what the meaning, that would have, maybe that necessitated. He said, no. When they don't take any protest, well, it's energy level. They are not there to check and examine and then do lab on the players. Because they were actually, the St. George were running. Papa, when we came back, that is when, as a folk, we said Djokovic, whether he likes it or not, has to call Dankwi. That was how Dankwi entered the national team. He alone stood in House of Folk against St. George, 11 players.
Wow. The rest of them couldn't move. They couldn't
play. No. And when the Ugandan keeper, he was their national keeper for that matter. St. George was one of the finest rich teams on their continent at the time. Between 2006, 7, and 8, thereabout. You understand? And they went there to buy that keeper from the Kampala City Council. KCC. That was where he was a keeper.
Okay.
And the national team keeper. After House of Folk St. George matches, when the team were banned 3 years, he left back to his country with his phone and other goodies.
I see. Very interesting story. Anyway, we have about 10 minutes more to go. So I wanted to take you, because we were just talking about it this morning. What is happening in the, people like to say Middle East, but this is US, Israel one side. One morning they wake up, they go and attack Iran. Iran also, of course, if somebody attacks, you have to defend yourself. And so full-blown war has been on for some time. Do we all have a cause to worry?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Of course.
No exceptions.
Everybody has a cause to worry.
But we are in Africa. We are
A cause to worry
West
not to
Africa.
think of any ballistic missile flying over our heads.
Okay.
A cause not to worry that there will be any third world war, because there can't be any third world war.
Okay.
Are you getting me?
Okay.
It is only the third world war that we're facing. It's either war on oil or war on health.
Okay.
The world had already experienced third world war, which was the COVID.
Okay.
The COVID ideally was the health war,
Okay.
which was
COVID was a health war.
it was a health war, because there cannot be any conventional war
Okay.
called third world war as it was in the First World and Second World War.
You don't see.
There cannot be, because territories of the world, there's no free land, there's no free water, there's no free territories.
Okay.
During the First World War, there were free land, there were territories of the world, and there were countries that called themselves superpower. They were colonial masters.
Okay.
British colonized about 30% to 40% of the 200 countries of the world. Americans didn't colonize much, but the French went into about 37. The Arabians colonized themselves, but then under the British occupation to some extent. The Asians were under the British occupation to some extent. Very few countries that hasn't got colonial masters at that time could be Japan. You can talk about China. You can talk of very few countries. But the whole entire Africa, except Egypt, that didn't have a colonial master at the time. Every African country, and then Libya didn't have a colonial master. Ethiopia didn't have any colonial master. They had the colonial friends. That was Italy. Okay? So when you take out the rest of the African continent, every country subjects herself to either British or the French.
Okay.
Or the Belgique. Are you getting me?
Okay.
And the Portuguese has also 5 league of countries. That Guinea-Bissau, Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, and then Sao Tome Principe. That was 5 for them. And the Spanish had only 1, Equatorial Guinea. You understand? The rest are French and English. And then these few that I've mentioned. And Liberia also in isolation, but they also for America. America didn't fully participate. I'm referring to the Second World War.
Yeah.
They have only the North America. The whole Caribbean is not for America. The Caribbean was for French. The Martinique side and the French, Guyana, Guadeloupe were French and English in the Caribbean. South Pacific was still British. And then French shared. Only King Solomon Island was for the American. So at that time, the whole South Pacific, for instance, it was the British and American controlling the Australian belt. Are you getting me?
Okay.
When you come to Africa, British, American. So as France was going into the war, they come to Togo as their colony and take their troops. Benin and take their troops. Cameroon and take their troops. Gabon and take their troops. Congo take their troops. Brazzaville take their troops. Bongi, Afrique Central, take all of them because you are subjected and you are under French colony. You understand me? The same thing that English did. Took all of us, English countries, Ghana, Nigeria, Gambia, Sierra Leone from West Africa. Liberia was not. Are you getting me? But which country that was colonized by the British in West Africa and went to the East Africa, Malawi, how do we call it, Uganda, Kenya, and then all that belt. And then some part, Eritrea, Djibouti was for the French, and then also those countries going to Rwanda, also for the Belgique, Burundi, Belgique, and then Congo, Kinshasa, also those ones all follow their masters. Now, post Second World War, territories of the world, either the sea or the land, everything is equally divided. Ghana had gone out of independence celebrating 69th already this year. We are already retired at 70 next year. We've been out of British occupation or British territorial, how do we call it, control since the last 69 years. So if British tomorrow, they go to Afghanistan as NATO member, go and create any funny chaos and go and fight, they can come to Accra and tell His Excellency John Mama that we want to take Ghana army. We are not going anywhere. We're an independent nation. The same thing. The French cannot go to Togo and take Togo army to go and fight. Unfortunately, the French, what they have also, they created what is called French Legionnaire. Okay. The French Legionnaire army, they choose and pick because French train special forces because of their interest for the French presidents. The French special forces that they train, one of them is Ibrahim Traoré.
Okay.
His boss, the one he overthrew, Dameba, and then Assimi Goïta of Mali, and then also Doumbouya of Mamadou Doumbouya, and Chiani of Niger. Chiani was French forces. When French was going to Afghanistan with the NATO, with the Americans to go and do what they did in NATO, Chiani was part of the French troop as a French legionnaire, not the French national, but they borrowed him or they took him as a special forces that French has prepared. So even though their country is not a French occupation, they have that kind of military pact. So they take those soldiers as French legionnaire and took them along. So Chiani, who did stage the coup in Niger, Assimi Goïta was French legionnaire in Afghanistan. Doumbouya was French legionnaire in Afghanistan. Traoré and his boss, Dameba, these were players that went to. Unfortunately for the French, all these guys came, they were the people who staged coup in the West Africa because of the experience they learned from those French. So now they've regretted that they will not train any African to go with them and fight anymore. Because those ones come, they know the French mentality, they know how they fight, they know how to push them, and that is why the French is not able to now go and attack. They can't go and attack Chiani in Niger, that they want to take him out because they know what they've trained him for. They are all guerrilla fighters. Traoré is a guerrilla fighter. Dameba is the guerrilla fighter. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So, take all this. There's no country that colonial master will go and fight. So, if Ghana is not fighting against Togo because France is fighting against UK, how can there be any world war? Okay. So, there cannot be any world war. The same thing applies to the Asia. All of them are independent nations. Okay. So, they cannot follow anybody to fight. Mm-hmm. Now, the concern here greatly is about the war, as I said, the Third World War experience some 35 years ago was the COVID, which was, of course, manipulated, created to weaken certain countries. That was the war the Chinese fought with the world and weakened the world economy and made China strong.
Okay.
Are you getting me? Yeah. Because till now, nobody can tell and nobody can point who was the last person to be treated COVID and how was that person's COVID treated. The last country, the last person to be treated COVID. Where is the COVID? Where did it go? If it was a virus mutating, where did it go?
But they said our bodies have adapted.
The bodies adapted what? You mean I didn't take the injection? Never would I take it. And I didn't take it because I knew it was fake. I knew it was fake, arguably, but it was a fake virus. And that wasn't the only virus created for the world. The French created HIV, they know. Tested in Congo. Chikungunya, the French, the Spanish, they did it and tested in Tanzania, Zika, and all those things. So we know. They know it has an expiration period. They just only do that to bomb economy and force countries to pay money for research, etc. Do you understand? This was Ebola. Why is the Ebola only hitting countries that are diamond-powered countries? Only diamond mining countries that has Ebola. Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia, and then you talk about the same Congo, etc. These are diamond area. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So by the time that there's a disease called Ebola, the next day the French scientists are there. Now we have a cure. French and English says they have a cure. When did they notice that such a virus was coming, and then they were prepared with the vessels going to Sierra Leone? When did they notice that? All these things are concocted. And we know how the world is played. But as far as Israel, America, Iran is concerned, that is a war that also calculated to benefit certain people. But then, unfortunately, is bombed on the face of the entire world.
Okay.
The imagination, the calculation, they miscalculated. They went in there to weaken the government, because you can't be in the process of solving and having discussions with your fellow, a partner, and a country that you himself, President Trump, has once said that they don't have anything. That is why he walked off the discussions with the same Iran 2018, calling Obama's arrangement with them as the stupid U.S. negotiations ever had in the history of America. Because Obama went there and negotiated with them and said that America will vote XYZ amount for Iran, divert to this, don't do ballistic. And the American was paying money to them. President Trump, 2018, he bastardized the agreement, canceled everything, destroyed the paper, that Iran hasn't got the capacity. So when did they turn around? So if Israel comes to tell you, that is what we have to do, let's go there. Israel themselves, the Osikala, how do we call it? What's the name of the nuclear reactor in Iraq? During the Iraq-Iran war, who backed Iran to burn that nuclear reactor? It was Israel. They masterminded the Mossad. They supported Iran to fight Iraq. America was part, the allies. America had been one of the strongest allies of Iran, Mossadegh, who removed him and brought what's the name? The other president, the first country in the region to gain democratic dispensation and have a democratic government in the whole Middle East Peninsula and the Persian Peninsula was Iran. 1951, 1952, they had a structured government. What happened? When their president, at that time democratically elected president, decided to nationalize the oil, and for that matter, every oil, he didn't want the Americans, the British, the Brazilians, the French to mine their oil, etc., and nationalize the company. Come work and we'll pay you. That's when they engineered the coup d'etat and then sacked them and brought the highliner who ran until the Iranian revolution. When did they become an enemy of America? Who helped Iran to have this Hezbollah? Hamas. Who created Hamas? Israelis should come and tell me and tell you and tell the world that who created Hamas that they are fighting today. It was what? It was Mossad organization to fight against Yasser Arafat when he was pushing for PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, as a Palestine as a country. Why and how? Qatar is Israeli-American ally. How was Hamas at the same time stationed, have their headquarters in Qatar? They were all friends. Qatar was friend, American, Israel, and Hamas. That's their headquarters. So when the table turned around, that after the death of Yasser Arafat and the Hamas leaders, thinking that they were going to give Palestine to Israel to make it Palestine as a region of Israel, as Israel had always wanted. The Hamas turned around that no, even though you created this, 1987 by Hassin. Yassin was what? It was a puppet, Israeli puppet. Who built the tunnels for the Hamas? A country that hasn't got a port. Which machines, excavators, how did they be able to excavate underground through West Bank, through Gaza, Hebron, and all those places to go to Tel Aviv or to go to East Jerusalem to abduct people and take them through tunnel and take them away to their side? Who built those tunnels for them? These were tunnels used against Palestinian Yasser Arafat. Hezbollah. Yes, Hezbollah was sponsored, of course, by Iran. Everybody knows. But it was after which Israeli and the South Lebanon fight, Israeli and the Syria fight, when we know that Lebanon has the weakest army of the entire Middle East. So Hezbollah as a militant group came up to fight Israelis from occupying the South Lebanon. Do you get it? Yeah. That is how Hezbollah was formed. And Iran was supporting them because they realized the Israelis were killing them. So they came with Islamism. Because Hezbollah is the fighters of God, Allah. Anyway, I don't subscribe and I don't believe in that. They are fighting for Allah. They are fighting for their own funny things. But that is how it was created. So Iran and the regime, having come out from revolution at that time, decided to support militants that were said to defend Islam by them. that Hamas now turned against Israel, and the Israelis now Hamas became their enemies.
Yes, it's quite a complicated history. Even you telling the history now is quite interesting. But I want us, because we have to conclude. I'm already 4 minutes past my time. But I wanted you to land on a note where we're saying there's a reason to worry for everybody. What is the problem? If it will not be a world war. Fuel. Okay.
Ghana we are part and parcel of the OPEC nations.
Okay.
But you and I have not seen 1 cup of Ghana crude oil. If you have seen it, I don't know. If any of your journalists have seen it, I don't really know. However, we produce crude and send out. And we take our money out of the crude to go and buy finished product.
Yes.
Now, finished product comes from the Arabian Peninsula and other parts of the world, Russia, Ukraine, Venezuela, and other parts where they sell crude at the same time they have finished product.
Okay.
Now, the price of crude escalates because there's less production. Mathematically, the pressure of the world in need and usage of fuel remains constant or even more due to sizes of economy of nations opening, and then also the need for the crude or the need for the oil.
Okay.
So you can't go and buy crude, $100 a barrel, and then go and sell at a cheaper rate. No country does that, no company. So it's benefiting those, in my view. America will still benefit, even though their prices of the fuel pump price will be higher. But the Wall Street, which is in New York, the 111 Wall Street is New York. The consultants on the Wall Street, they are the dealers of oil and gas. They are the originators, the movers of oil and gas. So for them, it is not different from, I'm sorry to use my brother Zamlama or Buzuman at Accra when dollar prices go high, Ghana dollar skyrockets. The Zamlama is very happy. The people change it. Yes, they are very happy because the higher the dollar and the pressure on the dollar, it gives them money as they change in eyes.
Okay.
When the dollar stabilizes right now, when you meet any of them, our brothers, you ask them, they are not happy. Why? The dollar had been stagnant. Let's call it, has been very stable for how long? For some 3, 4, 5 months. Within 10, 11. They don't want it like that. When it's 17, that is 20. That is when there is a business. It is the same thing like the American Wall Street consultants, oil and gas consultants. This is the best time that they trade. So what are we talking about? President Trump is having fleet of companies on the Wall Street who are also involved in oil and gas, including himself. So look at the whole impact of the fight, because Iran does not sit. You bomb their outfit, you bomb their oil and gas installations, then they sit. Before coming, they have also gone to Qatar, that all the countries that interfaces, that borders with Iran on the Persian Gulf or the Persian Peninsula, called the Arabian Sea, which are the countries? Oman in the south, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwaiti. Are you getting me? Those front lines is interfacing, sharing border with Iran on the Persian Gulf. All of them, anyone that America has a base, that is where Iran has also targeted. And much as America is trying to intercept with the Israeli interceptors, etc., these people are still being able to penetrate and land. So they are also destroying. And if you destroy a chunk or a part of even an installation, you have to shut down the whole thing, because it's a fire. It is a supply chain. You can't shut down one side of the machine and have the others. So practically, when they finish emptying their reserve on sale, the world will be in a bigger crisis. Which country benefits? United States of America. Why? They have a 40-year plan reserved that if the world should be plunged into crisis, shortage of this, and even though the price will be a little bit high, America can live, supply, move, hospitals, everything, function with their energy that has to do with oil for the next 40 years. Where is your own? Ghana, even 2-3 weeks. We were told that in 3 weeks' time, we'll be exhausted. If we are not able to buy high, if we are to buy high, think of it. The higher the shortage of the commodity and much pressure, the higher the demand. What comes with it? The president is not running Vatican. They are not running Pope business. Even Vatican, when they come to your country, the Pope comes to Ghana and you want to pray for Ghana, he kills the floor, Ghana has to pay. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Even Vatican, there's business. So Ghana government cannot go and buy fuel or crude, how do we finish product at higher cost and bring it down here and subsidize. No government can do that. So the effect on Ghana, on Cote d'Ivoire, on Mali, on Senegal, Burkina, and every part of the world, it is still going to be the same. As a result of two persons' political interests. Who are those? Bibi Netanyahu and then President Trump's decision. Going against America, their constitution. That is why till now, he cannot declare war on Iran. He's still declaring what is called either military action or military operation. But if he has to declare war, he must first and foremost go to invade. Why have they bombarded 3 weeks and they are not invading? Invading means that you have to step on the floor, on the ground.
So boots on the ground.
Boots should be on the ground. Now you are going to invade. So if this fight is still going to be a sustaining or sustenance of area bombardment, America and Israel, they will be tied one day because the area bombardment costs serious money. So if America is not able to feed, and in terms of looking at the Iranians are able to deploy their drones. So if they are deploying drone that costs less than $40,000 and you are using $4 million worth of interceptor to catch and follow one drone, look at the monies that they are spending. How long can they do that? So when this one ends and they have not achieved the aim and the goal of a regime change or Iranian backing down, and the Iranians open their arms that, okay, now welcome, let's go into the battle. Now America has started pushing in, using the fuel politics that NATO members should come and support. But NATO members are very adamant because they've done that before. They supported in Libya. They supported in Iraq. They supported in Afghanistan. So the NATO members, their political situation in their countries, the citizens have also warned them. And their soldiers have also warned that we will not involve ourselves in that kind of wars. So there is a heat. And if it's only Israel and America to step on the foot and fight with Iran, that has Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, very big size of army, one of the biggest in the world. That would be a very big showdown.
I see. Well, we're looking forward to what will happen subsequently. But thank you, Alhaji.
Mashallah.
Thank you, Alhaji. In fact, he did quite a good job just summarizing some very complicated histories in the Middle East, how friends become enemies. Enemies become friends all of a sudden because interests have changed, among many other things. So sometimes when you are monitoring those things, people give some simplistic explanations of it. You have no idea. You have